This episode presented by Rocket Money. Good time of the year to save money. You know how much your subscriptions might be costing you? Maybe you have Netflix. Maybe you got HBO Max. You got Disney Plus. You got all those. Adds up. Most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions when they're really spending closer to $200. The Rocket Money app shows all your subscriptions in one place, cancels you don't want, and it does it for you. That's the big thing. Rocket Money can find shit you know you're paying for. To cancel a subscription, all you got to do is press cancel. That's it. Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Cancel unnecessary subscriptions to Rocket Money today. Save money. Maybe you're paying for two. I was paying for 2 Hulu subscriptions at one time. Maybe you're not realizing you're paying for something. Rocket Money will help you cancel things, and it does it for you. Takes all the hard stuff out of the way for that. Rocket Money, great way to save money. Great way to clean things up in your finances. So right now, go to rocketmoney.com/lights. Can save you hundreds per year. That's rocketmoney.com/lights.
Welcome to Lights Camera Barstool, episode 69 of season 2. Jeff Lowe, Ken Jack, Gooch, Chris Castellani. What's going on? First show of 2023?
Second.
First one of all of us together.
Correct.
Yes.
We have 2 very different movies we're talking about today. Babylon from Damien Chazelle and M3GAN. I mean, honestly, the fact we're talking about M3GAN feels like already like one of the bigger upsets of the year already. And then I'll get into even further why it's an even crazier upset when we talk about it, because I think everybody liked it. So we'll talk about that.
Yeah. That's super exciting too, and I think that me, Gooch, and Chris are all very excited that you took a break from working at BlackRock, and came up from the financial district to come in and record the pod with us, Mr. Veston on top of flannel.
I'm also wearing.
Do you want to go?
I'm also wearing. I'm wearing boots.
Oh my God! Dude. Oh shit! You party exclusively in Murray Hill. This guy doesn't go anywhere.
We got a lot
of
of
that
movies to
area.
talk about.
You want to go to Cabo?
I gotta know. I made one of the all-time bad moves. I got new sneakers for Christmas, and I threw them away I threw away my old ones before testing out the new ones. Not good. Just not. So now the boots are the only comfortable
Blister
shoes
City.
I have, which are not practical if you're someone like me who only really wears shorts even when it's 30 degrees outside. So now it's a nightmare scenario. Adidas ruined their boosts. They made new boosts and they stink.
Oh, they're terrible.
It seems like a New Yorker look, though. Shorts and dress shoes. That seems like something we would bring into prominence. You could be like a trailblazer,
something like that. May not be the right company to do that with. A good way to get flamed is to become a meme.
Roasted.
Yeah, movies. We're also going to talk 2023 movies too. Top 5 most anticipated movies of next year. But first, Ocean's 11. My favorite movie of all time. Reboot, starring actually somebody in Babylon, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. Warner Brothers, they're going to reboot Ocean's 11. Though they've said plot details are being kept in the rest, but the prequel story is expected to take place in 1960s Europe, far away from Las Vegas. Which, I off the top, what a mistake already. Like, is that not already a mistake? Yeah. The most liked, I will say, Ocean's 12 I've warmed up to over the years. Like, I think there's some creative, fun stuff in 12. But, like, why are we going away from Vegas?
Was it 12 that had the French guy doing the dance through the lasers? That shit rocked. That shit rocked. Undeniable.
This just doesn't sound like it's an Ocean's movie. It sounds like they just slapped they're like heist movie centered around casinos and gambling. Let's call it Oceans. Like, nothing about it really sounds like an Ocean's movie, unless they name Ryan Gosling's character like another Danny Ocean. I don't know what they're doing there.
I will say, the idea of it being in Europe is scary at first, but like we were talking about Bond the other day, and like the idea of like I think that was Montenegro where Casino Royale took place or whatever, or like you do like Monaco or whatever, like you do those fancy European casinos and you get the vibe of like Man from U.N.C.L.E., where it's just a bunch of super sexy people doing heist stuff. Like, I'm into it. I'm very much into that vibe, even though it's just kind of slapping, like you're saying, slapping the Ocean's brand onto something that isn't really the Ocean's feel. Outside of a heist.
And this has no connection to Ocean's 8, like, or
No, because
Sure
they
hope
say it's
not.
going to
I
be set
doubt
in the 60s. So, it probably won't. Also, like,
Gotta have Frank
Weird.
Sinatra
not to be
back in
morbid,
there.
but like they can't really do an original one anymore. People are just dying from the 2000 one. Like Bernie Mac's been dead for a while.
Mhm.
Like Carl Reiner's dead. I mean, Elliot Gould he's not dead, but
Elliot Gould's still
he
kicking. That
was
guy
in
rocks.
Ocean's 8, and he was looking pretty old. Which fair. He was old in Ocean's
Yeah.
11, so it's not like I'm not like
Get in the car.
this.
Or whatever it says.
I
Get
just
inside, get
don't
inside.
think this is unfortunately, and I hate to say this, I just don't think this is a thing that can ever work again. The only way Ocean's 11 works again is if they somehow come up with a newer heist in 15, 20 years and just redo the Vegas one. But like even then, like that's just a tall you can't recapture that movie. And kind of funny enough, Knives Out, I guess, was close, but even in terms of star power, like you're just not going to do it again. I just don't think you can get it. And if you do get the people, it's probably just not going to be very good.
I'll say too, on top of that, like even with Ocean's 11, when it came out, like it wasn't looked at like, hey, here's George Clooney and Brad Pitt, two of the world's finest actors. It was just like, hey, here's two hot dudes and like Julia Roberts or whatever, and like they're all just doing this heist movie. Like when you have like Ryan Gosling and Margot Robbie, who like I think were both extremely well respected actors in addition to being super attractive. Like I think there's a different level of expectations that go with that versus like the goofiness value of like the Ocean's cast.
I wouldn't hate Gosling and Margot becoming the new Clooney Andrews. That'd be a nice little tandem. Just keep casting them in movies together.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Like I want to think that it could be, honestly, making it in the 60s might make it a little better too, because you run out of like, you can't set it now because the better technology gets, the tougher those movies are to land. Like 13 was cool, but like they even had to deal with that in 13 where it's like, you got to bring in this fucking.
Oh no, Jeff
we lost.
And Joey just lost Jeff, as you said.
You know, it'd be really
it's
funny
the
though,
one
if they did update it and like instead of like stealing like a painting from like a museum, they just like stole like somebody's ape, their NFT ape.
Somebody's NFT, yeah.
All my apes are gone.
That would be the ultimate like.
Danny Asian holds up his phone, just like scrolling through his photos, and he just has.
It would just be that would be the ultimate like clowned on decision, I think, in movie history. Like that would get roasted almost immediately. By the way, yeah, Jeff. So Jeff's working from the Barstool office at this moment. The Barstool office, despite us being an internet company, has the worst Wi-Fi and internet service that's ever been created. And it was a funny joke for a while. It's not really funny anymore. It just kind of sucks really bad. So if you're listening to this and you're like, damn, it kind of sucks that the flow got interrupted by Jeff getting cut off, just tweet at All Business Pete, and just make sure that he knows that you're pissed off that the internet at the office doesn't work, because us saying it doesn't really do much, apparently. Anyway, but yeah, so
I need M3GAN to fucking hack Pete's shit,
M3GAN.
fix our Wi-Fi.
Exactly. Yeah. And anyway, that was Oceans. What was the next news item?
Gladiator, Paul Mescal.
Oh, Gladiator 2 casting Paul Mescal. Do we have? I think the details of it is it's Gladiator fighting through time, right? Or did they switch it?
That was it early on. I can't imagine they're going to do that.
I don't think that's the case anymore.
That would have been awesome. Which would have
been insane.
It would have been the opening to X-Men Wolverine Origins, except just like stretched
which is the
out
best part of that movie.
Literally, that's one of the best. It's awesome. But
yeah,
I think this Maximus, Russell Crowe's too old to do it, but like Maximus just fighting like he's in the Civil War. He's like,
dude, fucking Sabretooth running up the beaches at Normandy like a horse girl on all fours, like jumping into a pillbox. That shit was so funny. Like it just that was the best part of that movie. But Paul Mescal rocked. Really good actor in I almost called it Triangle of Sadness. No, Decision to Leave.
Wolverine accidentally kills Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
That's not. Well, then it's turning into the King's Man, basically. The King's Man was so funny with that, where they did like the LCB 90s episode bit of like, yeah, here's this guy coming up at the end of the movie. What's your name, buddy? Adolf Hitler. And then it cut to black. Like that shit was unbelievable. But yeah, Gladiator 2, I think the kid who played Lucius went on to keep acting, if I remember right.
Yes,
like he was in other stuff.
Actor.
Yeah, he was Was he in Bohemian Rhapsody? No, that was the kid from Jurassic Park, right? He played like the drummer or something in Bohemian Rhapsody. But yeah, no, that's a good actor. I don't know how Gladiator 2 works at this point, because like you need like an insane production value, which is what Gladiator had. Like that looked amazing. Like Gladiator, like you make it feel like you're there. And I don't know if they have the juice to do that without just being like telling Ridley Scott, hey, go to a green screen or whatever and go and shoot all the series so we could save some cash. I do think if you look at his last movie with The Last Duel, which however you feel about it, I think the production value was there.
Looked great.
It was,
I mean? Yeah, like it made you feel like it was the Middle Ages, and it didn't look like there was a shit ton of green screen.
Yeah, I thought that movie was boring too.
Yeah, you guys aren't allies like me, supporting Jodie Comer, so like I understand why you didn't like it.
Don't even say that. I love Jodie Comer. She could do whatever she wants. Cast her as the Joker. I don't care.
Dude, Ben Affleck in The Last Duel rocked, and I won't let anyone tell me otherwise. Yeah. He was having so much fun with that. That was great. The bleach blonde everything, and him just being like a hedonistic freak. Like, I love that shit. But yeah, that's Gladiator 2. What was the next one?
Due for one, right? Like
he's overdue.
Like he's due for like
I just think he's lost his mind though. Like that's my issue with him is I think he's like old and senile and crazy. Like I don't know if he's really capable of making good movies anymore.
Whereas like Scorsese's and like James Cameron's comments about like the movie industry, they're like Cameron's are funny because he's just trolling, and Scorsese is like insightful. Like he actually has like good points to be made. Ridley Scott's kind of just an asshole. Whenever he talks about like the industry at large, like it's like dude,
he's lost his mind. Yeah.
Well, to Scott's credit, I do think he is like obvious. Well, I don't think I just think that like he is like a visionary director in a lot of ways. One of the cool things about him, and also to note, he made Raised by Wolves, which was I think a pretty damn good show for whatever that's worth. At least in the first season, especially like that was good sci-fi. And I think he is a guy where maybe he's like out of touch with like the newer age of like making movies or whatever, but like he is a guy who knows how to make good blockbusters. And like he's also, I think, the #1 director's cut director. Like almost every movie of his, it has a director's cut that's better than the original cut. You know what I mean? Like with Kingdom of Heaven, Blade Runner, whatever, like every single movie he gets his cut fucked with, and then his cut ends up being like 10 times better. And I think he's a guy who knows how to make epics, #1, really good at that, and really good at.
He's who Zack Snyder fans think Zack Snyder is.
Exactly, yeah. Exactly that. But I think he's obviously an awesome director, and I just like him getting more chances. What's really cool about him too is he's an artist before he was a director. So like he storyboards every single shot in like extreme detail, and like he has like all these storyboards of everything he makes. It's like awesome to look at when you ever get a chance to look at those. What was after Gladiator?
Those are our 2 news items, and then we're just gonna hop into these because we're doing 2 reviews and then a ranking draft.
All right, let's hop into M3GAN.
We can do M3GAN or we can do Babylon first.
I say we do M3GAN first because I feel like that'll be quicker, and then we can get into that. So M3GAN, you've all heard about it. M3GAN, it has like maybe one of the more like when you. Over the last couple of years, like one of the better viral marketing campaigns out of, as Gooch does the little twist, of like the last few years, like alongside with like Smile, they did like the same sort of thing. Great viral marketing. Horror movie about a doll killing people, directed by Gerard Johnstone, starring the biggest name in this is Allison Williams. And it is about a little doll made by an aunt taking care of an orphan child that's meant to pair and make the kid feel better. Simple. It's a nice little satirical sci-fi horror blend of movies. A couple different genre blends in this. I think that there's a couple things to say. I think this movie, for at least for me, like I can break it down into like pros and cons. And I'll say here, it's not like it's been out forever, but we could talk like we want to just go straight into spoilers with this because I don't feel like it's worth like protecting.
I feel like anyone who wanted to
M3GAN.
see this saw it this weekend.
Exactly. Yeah. Like. And it did. I think it was #1 in the box office this last weekend too, which is crazy.
Still,
only behind Avatar.
I was still there.
Yeah, worldwide. Then but yeah. So we'll go straight into spoilers. I will say I think all of us are in the general. Before we get into the spoilers, we're all in the general idea of just saying like I'd say this is a recommend. Gooch, you would say this is a recommend.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, recommend. Yeah,
this is a recommend. So that's what we'll stop there, and then we'll get into spoilers. So I think the pros of this movie for me is that M3GAN has a very strong sense of identity, which is super important for a movie like this, because a movie like this could be like very easily misunderstood by audiences if they didn't get the vibe right and like express it to the audience correctly. I think it was a really good use of the creepiness that's inherent in all dolls. All dolls are creepy. If you collect dolls, you're a weirdo. I'm sorry. It's the perfect length, and which is short, which is great for all horror movies. But I think the cons here is that I don't think M3GAN does everything okay. I don't think it does anything great. Like the satire, horror, suspense, humor, like all that stuff, none of it is great. It's all okay, which is fine. But like, it definitely prevented it for me from getting into like top tier territory. I don't think there's a standout acting performance, which isn't the end of the world for horror. And I don't feel like it lived up to the marketing hype, which is whatever. But like, also, like you look at the Rotten Tomatoes score for this in the upper 90s when it starts, it's nowhere near that for me. It ended up for me being a 75 out of 100. Chris, what did you think of M3GAN?
I also have 75 out of 100 here. I think that's a fair rating. You made a really good point there about how there's nothing in this that, like, okay, let's be honest. I think we all expected this to be a fuck you, it's January movie. Prime example of it. Yeah, like this movie had might have the lowest percentage chance of being good of like any movie I'm going to see this year. And I'm with you. There's never a moment where I fell in love with it, but it's remarkably watchable. And there's never a moment in which, unlike a lot of these horror movies, it becomes obnoxious. It never becomes overly stupid. It's never too long. It's never over-reliant on the jump scares. I think with a movie like this, sometimes it's more important what you don't do as opposed to what you do. And I think that they avoided a lot of the really annoying tropes that bog these movies down. It's surface level good. It never goes to great. I think it's a fun movie to see with a crowd. I would be surprised if we don't end up getting a sequel to this because it seems like it's kind of being a surprise hit. Even the final shot kind of alludes to that. It's not a movie I would actively go out and see again, but it's watchable. It's likable, and for a January movie, first week of January, I mean, my God, you can do so much worse. Last year at this point, we were talking about the 355, so it's like, so you could definitely do worse. I think that it's a prime example of how having a solid directorial vision can really help. Because I don't think that this is, like you said, the most well-acted movie. I don't think it's necessarily the most well-written, but the execution is way better than it had any right to be. So yeah, 75 out of 100 for me. I think most people that see this will get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I'm at a 70 out of 100. I think the score is liable to come down. I think it plays very well to an audience. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a movie, if you're going to watch it, I would highly recommend catching it in theaters because it's fun to see with a group of people. Like, there are people literally just like hooting and hollering. Like, the literal definition of hooting and hollering was happening in my theater. I think there are a few parts where, like, when she starts singing Titanium, my theater lost.
Yeah.
It. Like, that's about as hard as I've seen a theater laugh in a long time. Some of the parts were very intentional, like set up almost as memes, right? Like, some of the shots were like, this is going to be a meme. Like, they put this in there to be a meme. Like, her sitting in the back of a car, like staring out the window, her coming up over the fence with her hair all fucked up. Like, I was laughing so hard at that. I also think this was very clearly at some point a rated R movie.
Yes, that's one complaint I forgot to bring up. Yep, good point.
I'll be interested to see what it looks like once it hits streaming. If they release maybe a more unrated cut of the movie. Because there's parts where it's like they definitely said a swear word there because that audio did not match whatever the fuck their mouth was saying.
I noticed that too. Wow, yeah.
Which not great, but like, yeah, you notice stuff like that. I think where you said it was a perfect runtime, Kinjek, I think you could have shaved about 15 minutes off, especially at the beginning. I don't know if we needed to see their parents. The parents' death was pretty stupid. Like, that whole car ride, like, I was just like, oh, we don't really need this. Like, we could have just opened with her taking in her niece. We could have started there. Opening with that, by the way, the ad for that toy that just farts.
Yeah.
So perfectly, like, I thought that was really funny because, like, if you watch like any kind of toy commercial, that's more or less what they are. Like, it's like, farts are funny to kids. Farts will always be funny to kids. They are funny, and that's what's going to sell a toy.
Funny to everybody.
They're funny to adults. Yeah, I know. Have you watched The Yak lately?
Yeah, seriously.
Let's just turn our podcast into that. That's what does numbers. We're going to pivot to a
apparently, yeah, we should do that for real. I can't do it though because of the whole hemorrhoid thing. But
that's
I
true.
could try.
Kinjack gives
it would sound like the fucking you ever pin a playing card to the back of your bike?
Yes.
That's what it would sound like.
I'm at a 70 out of 100. Like you guys said, there's nothing really great about this movie, especially like the acting is bad. Like Allison Williams is not a good actor. Like she just isn't.
Yeah.
But the toy looked cool. The toy was funny. The horror was good. Like the jump scares were well done and like not overused. Yeah, no, it was fun. It's like everything you wanted Child's Play, the rebooted Child's Play to be. This is what this ended up being. And there's some cool messaging in there too. Like,
yeah,
I don't really love the idea of like, because technology bad is kind of overused at this point. I think Black Mirror kind of beat it into the ground, and we've seen it done a million ways because of that. But I think they did it pretty well.
Yeah, so were you guys, I think, wanted it to be more rated R? I'm almost happy it wasn't, because I feel like, again, going back to like the sense of identity, I think if you go rated R, it's just Chucky and a worse version, I guess, of Chucky.
Yeah.
So I think that part of its identity was to not try hard not to be basically what Chucky is. And I think that was probably a pretty stringent objective for it, I would imagine, especially for them and execs and everything. Like, let's just not rip that off. And it worked because it did make it. You at no point when you're watching this are you like, oh, Chucky did that better, or this did this better, or this did that better. It's just, or Annabelle, whatever. Like, this was, I think it managed to forge its own way and feel unique in what is a relatively dominated space of doll horror. And I think it made its own. It made like it's a little version of it with like I think a well done sort of spin. And it was the same writer, I believe, that did *Malignant*, which is one that I think most of us liked pretty much from last year. And you can see a lot of the same vibes in certain ways. It's just like, again, it comes down to me like where this movie doesn't even approach the 90s or anything like that. Is like there's nothing like it's that was unbelievable. Like. And that's like the first 40. It was only with the first 40 critics that it was at 98%. But like, and I think it's now just down to like 91 or 90 or something. But even that is egregious. No. It's nowhere close to that. Even for what it's trying to accomplish, it's nowhere close to that. Because again, I think for me it's the jack of all trades, master of none. And like that makes for a solid movie. It doesn't make for a great movie. Like it needed to do something. Whether it was the humor, the kills, or whatever, it needed to do something that was excellent, and nothing about the movie is excellent. And other than maybe like the doll design, like the doll was creepy as fuck. Like, and that's something that I think they did really well for whatever that's worth.
The doll was so funny. That doll was just funny. The faces she made and the dialogue she had was funny. I'm excited. By the way, Chris, you said you didn't know if there was a sequel coming. They've already committed to one, and they're writing one.
Not surprising at all.
The title has to be Meg Foran. Meg Foran, right?
Yeah, they kind of screwed themselves with that, huh?
I'm excited. James Wan produced this, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
He also produced
like he's
Annabelle.
Very heavily involved.
Mm-hmm. He is kind of like a godfather of horror at this point. And I think again, I wouldn't hate for more sequels of this because like they're solid. It's just like maybe if they were to make a second one, find a way to like truly step this up. And I just love the idea of like a doll maker creating a Terminator. Like that's just it's funny. I don't know, just funny.
Very clear homage to Terminator was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like when she took the chainsaw to Megan's face and like her like half of her face was open. Like that was awesome. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's well done. When you can do an homage like that and it's well done, like for a little movie buff, like a little moviegoer, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Give me that.
And the goofiness of the little kid like putting on the real steel gloves and fighting fighting Megan with the big ass robot. Like that shit rocked. That actress we've seen and stuff too, I think. What, Bruce?
That's what the robot's name was.
That was the name of the robot.
That was the name of his robot in Real Steel?
No, in Megan.
Megan, the proxy robot. His name was.
Catch that. I was like, how the fuck did you guys remember the Real Steel robot's name, and why was it Bruce at all? It was also like Blue Thunder or something. Fuck, what was the robot's name in Real Steel? That was a good movie that deserves a sequel, by the way. That was like a fun ass sci-fi movie.
I thought they announced one, didn't they?
Like years ago, and I feel like it never came to fruition. Charlie Kenton. That's just a great dumb ass sci-fi name for Hugh Jackman. What the fuck was his robot's name?
Here, I got some titles for M3GAN.
Noisy Boy.
All right. The next one, the next M3GAN is going to be called Meg4N. And then we got M3GANs. There's going to be multiple M3GANs in the third one, but it's going to be called M3GAN 5. So the 5 is like the S. The sixth one is going to be called Being M3GAN, but this time the A is a 4 and the B in Being is a 6.
Okay.
Got it? We got M3GAN, a Knives Out Mystery, Bride of M3GAN, Seed of M3GAN, and then Guillermo del Toro's M3GAN.
Give what was his name? Paul Wes Anderson a shot at a M3GAN movie. His version, Milo Jovovich as M3GAN. Yeah,
Paul Wes Anderson is nothing.
Paul Worthless Shit Anderson.
Worthless. Yeah, no, but give him a M3GAN, and then he'll cast Milo Jovovich as M3GAN, and it would be a good movie, I'm sure.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, so that would be something.
That's a different kind of movie.
Correct me if I'm wrong. They did make a bunch of M3GANs, right? Like in just that the M3GAN that we saw was already the only one online. Like
no, I think that's the only one they made because it was like really expensive, and they were like trying to keep the cost under the radar to hide from that boss. By the way, that stuff was also a big negative for me. Like everything to do with the business
CEO tech boss,
played by who was that? Ronnie Chen.
Yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah, like that was just like I needed a lot less of that.
Yeah, significantly less of
that. Take me back to the doll.
Yes. It should have been nothing but doll interaction. By the way, there's another trope that they did, which I appreciate that they did, is that they did the creature kill that starts with the dog. You know what I mean? Like they always work their way up. They never start with a human. They're always just like, here, let me kill a family cat or whatever. Like we'll kill like something small where everyone's like, oh no, how did Scruffy die or whatever? Like Hills Have Eyes did or whatever. And then they just work their way up to humans. They hate that the dog died.
The movie also had the balls to kill a child, which I did not expect. It brutally
ripped his fucking ear off.
Yeah.
Dude, that ear was like fucking 10 feet off his face when she was pulling it. That was so funny.
So gross.
So yeah, that's M3GAN. I don't think any of us are as high as the critic scores or whatever will have you see, but I don't think that's necessarily a detriment either. I think we're all into it. Oh, here's Jeff's back.
Yeah, M3GAN is very fun. Here's my biggest takeaway from M3GAN. This is going to be this is a unique take. I'm not going to rehash literally anything any of you have said because here's my biggest takeaway from M3GAN. After I watched M3GAN, I dropped Home Sweet Home Alone's score from 15 to a 5. Unexpected ricochet, but it made me think of Home Sweet Home Alone and how do you do fellow kids and how fucking out of touch that movie was and how bad it was. And it made me despise Home Sweet Home Alone more and make it one of my least favorite movies of this century. It's a steaming pile of shit. I hate it. I hate that it was made. It wasn't made for anybody. It ruined everything I think about the original temporarily when I watched it. But yeah, M3GAN is I have an appreciation for the people who made M3GAN because they clearly get it. And I think that's why it works so well, because they get it. It never feels forced. And if you open your movie with fart jokes like that, with like Tim and Eric style fart jokes, I'm always going to like your movie. So that's my M3GAN thoughts. Fuck Home Sweet Home Alone. Piece of shit movie. Dog shit. Ass movie.
What was your score of M3GAN?
And M3GAN's good. M3GAN's score, I'd probably go like, I actually haven't hit a score on it yet. M3GAN... It's somewhere in the 80s. I'd say mid 80s. It's really well done. It's just a very fun, enjoyable movie.
You're above all of us by like 10 points plus. Yeah. We were all like 70, 75.
No, like I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's first of the year too. The first movie of the year is the worst movie to rate because you have nothing to go off of.
Right. But as I was saying earlier, Jeff, last year at this point it was 3.55. So I feel like
3.55. A fucking Separation, which actually also stars, I think, the little girl from this movie.
That
was bad.
January Queen.
God, I hated that movie.
3.55. Holy shit.
How about Tom Hanks getting fucking bodied by a little doll?
Yeah, seriously.
Also, that movie sucked. Fuck that movie. That movie stunk.
I can't wait for Man Called Otto.
I can't wait to not watch it.
Yep.
I thought that came out next week. I didn't know that came out.
You're just not a Man Called Otto stan. That's fair.
I clearly not. Yeah.
OTTO.
Got to step your game up, Chris.
I got it.
All right. So are we done with M3GAN?
Yeah, all done with M3GAN. Now we're moving in Bab.
All right. We'll talk about
Into Babs.
It's not even the main attraction. M3GAN's the main attraction. Nobody saw Babylon.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it's because like fucking bad.
So
unenjoyable.
This is going to be interesting. I don't know really where Babylon is tough.
Now we can't hear you.
I talked to Chris. I guess I can't do one ear. Hold on. What about now?
Okay, yeah.
Chris and I talked about Babylon. I haven't not really talked about Babylon to Kenjack or Gooch. I said if I would have given Babylon an 80, which I didn't, that may as well be a 100. Like, I don't know, like, that doesn't sound like it makes sense, but if you've seen Babylon, it should. Babylon, the latest movie from Damien Chazelle, Whiplash, La La Land, First Man. It's an epic. I don't know. It's like a Hollywood epic. I don't fucking know what it is. Like, it's not just... It's something. It is his love letter, maybe, to Hollywood. The old Hollywood, the transition from silent films to the talkies, though even that is a tough way to describe it, because it's not...
Kind of is, yeah.
Like that happens in the movie. A lot of people in the movie, from fucking Tobey Maguire to Margot Robbie to Spike Jonze.
Yeah.
I love a good Spike Jonze cameo, by the way.
He needed that.
Like when he's in Moneyball and he can't pronounce Jason Giambi's name. Babylon made no money. Nobody saw this movie. It cost a shitload to make.
80 mil.
Relative to how much...
They lost like $100 million. You know how insane that is?
Like, the funny thing is that I love Damien Chazelle. I think he's got a great vision. And I think even... And I'm curious, like, Kenjack, you especially. Like, I think even if you hate it, you at least got to respect, like, fuck, he went for it. Like, it may stink, but at least, like, he went for it.
We'll talk about it, yeah.
But I feel like you'll definitely agree on this. I like him. He's not a guy that I would think is like Jordan. Them giving Jordan Peele carte blanche to make whatever he wants makes sense. His movies make money. They make buzz. People see them. I love Chazelle. Chazelle doesn't seem like that guy. Like, I'm kind of surprised he was given like the ability to do this.
Yeah, he's not a blockbuster guy. He's a prestige guy. Prestige movies traditionally don't make a lot of money. That's just not what they do.
He's not
especially ones about old Hollywood.
He's not a director the average person knows. The average, my mom knows who Jordan Peele is. Like, she got no fucking idea who Damien Chazelle is.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't even part of the most famous moment for one of his movies. He was on stage, but like he wasn't even the guy that realized the issue with the car when the Best Picture thing happened. I absolutely like this movie more than all three of you. I can say that without a doubt. There's a lot of this I did enjoy. I love Hollywood. Movies about Hollywood I like. That's no surprise. If you listen to this podcast, you know that's the case. But this movie is absolutely like a little too much of a mess. I don't mind if this movie was a mess and frantic. Like, I think the idea that it's a movie talking about the absolute absurdity and what happened during like the silent era is kind of a cool contrast. But it's just like it's just too much. It's simply too much. And it's exhausting, and I don't mean in the Uncut Gems way. Like, it's just exhausting in a like, oof. It's exhausting in a way where like I didn't really hate it like some people did, but I told multiple people to specifically go see M3GAN and not Babylon. I'm like, if you want to go see Babylon, like, just be prepared. Like, you're not having a fun night out. Like, it's an exhausting experience. Truly exhausting.
Mm-hmm. I think, and this is going to... Well, what's your score, by the way?
My score review, I'm waiting to do my score.
Okay.
All right. So,
I think Robbie may know it. I don't know, but it's in our data. But yeah, okay.
So, for mine... I I think so. I cut down M3GAN into pros and cons, and I can kind of do the same for Babylon. There's pros. There's good things about this movie, without a doubt. Like Margot Robbie is always Margot Robbie. She's excellent in everything, even if the movie doesn't land. Diego Calva, I think, was awesome in his introduction to us. Really, really good. And there are 2 scenes in this movie that are Oscar caliber scenes. Like 2 scenes. That's it. And the whole thing, 3 hours long, 3+ hours long of fucking like erratic mess. But there are 2 outstanding scenes that are Oscar caliber. And it's Gene Smart explaining to Brad Pitt about how his time has come and all that. And then that really frantic first talkie scene with Margot Robbie where they're trying to like put everything together. So those 2 scenes are like Oscar caliber scenes, right? And the camera work was really stellar, which was like a kind of a regular standard for all Chazelle stuff. Like he really loves that one shot where he zooms in on the actor, zooms out, gets a full breadth of everything, and zooms right back in. He did it like 10 times in this movie. I think the humor really worked, especially PJ Byrne, who was like not the director, but the assistant director in those scenes.
Rugrat from Wolf of Wall Street? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
He's always funny, man. He
killed it.
Yeah.
The production design was also just rock solid. Like you're immersed in that. You feel like it's 1920s, 30s Hollywood and all that, and that works great. I think the cons for this are that I mentioned this, I think, right when I saw it. It's the ultimate heat check movie. It is the ultimate heat check. It is Damien Chazelle having enough Hollywood capital to have enough creative control to swing for the fences, except this is like a dribbler to first. Like Jeff was saying, like he respects that he swung for the fences, but that hit being a dribbler to first sucks. It's inexcusably an hour too long. Like no reason anyone could possibly give me would explain how the final cut ended up with that runtime. Nothing. And what makes it worse is that you can pick out every moment that works and every moment that can easily be stripped away from time. Like the Tobey Maguire subplot thing, you strip that away, you take back 45 minutes of this movie. And it basically achieved nothing. It did nothing for the movie whatsoever. And even with all that length, the frantic nature of the whole thing makes it feel very incoherent. And I like that you mentioned Uncut Gems, Jeff, because like it reminded me of that sort of anxious feel you get with Uncut Gems, but there's always a clear objective in Uncut Gems from start to finish, right? Like you're between point A and point B. That you don't ever really get that feeling. Right. You're zigzagging all over the place. You don't have a clear objective in sight or destination in sight throughout this movie. And I think that the ending to Babylon, is maybe one of the worst I've ever seen out of a prestige movie in a long time. And I understand the intent of it, right? Like you want to showcase what Calva had helped build and all that, like the character, but the presentation is nauseating and so bad. And I don't understand how somebody in Chazelle's camp wasn't like, this is a terrible idea. This is a really bad idea, especially for a big budget movie, because you will never get a big budget movie again if you make this ending for a movie that's meant to be shown out for people. Like that's just never going to work. So I landed for this movie. I'm on a 59 out of 100. There's this movie, and 59 out of 100, by the way, comes entirely on the back of Robbie, Margot Robbie, Diego Calva, and his like general performance throughout it, and those 2 scenes, and that's it. Everything else did not work for me one bit. So it's just a really, really big disappointment. I think we did a draft of our most anticipated movies for 2022. It was my number 1 pick. Yeah. Like I was so pumped for this movie. I fucking love Damien Chazelle. I love that this cast was incredible, super stacked. The topic itself, even like it should be good. It is just such an egregious mess of a movie that really needed like a no man. You know what I mean? You need like Chazelle needed an editor. He needed somebody to say no to stuff. He needed someone to say this is not digestible for an audience, and he didn't have that. And this movie just ended up being a really frantic swing for the fences that didn't work. And it bothered me a lot, especially because I had back-to-back this with Avatar because I did those screenings back-to-back. And Avatar was the same length, but never feels long. And then I watched this one, and all I could feel was the length of this movie from like the hour and a half mark. So really big disappointment for me, 59 out of 100.
I agree with a lot of your negative points. I do. But there's too much good in this for me to drop this movie down into the 50s. There's some parts of this movie, and there's 10, 15-minute stretches where it's as good as anything released last year. That 15 minutes on set was...
That was awesome.
I mean, that was like LSD straight to my brain. That was incredible. The performances,
2 Oscar scenes,
great. I mean, when it's good, it's like, holy fuck, this is good.
Right.
And when it's bad, Margot Robbie projectile vomiting at a hoity-toity party, it's like, what was the thought here? What was the thought? Like, why are we doing this in this movie?
It did like the James Rolfe elephant diarrhea dump on someone's head within the first 5 minutes.
The guy getting pissed on, like, also, Damien Giselle, I don't know if he parties a lot. Some of this,
no, he's a jazz nerd.
Yeah, like, because some of this stuff was like, this is like if a narc tried to make like what partying looks like. It's like, it just, some of the stuff I was like, oh, that's not really what it would be like. But like I said, like, there's just some stuff in here that's just too fucking good for me to drop this into the 50s. I'm at a 75. There's a movie in here that is like,
oh wow, okay.
There's a movie in here that is up into the 90s. Very clearly. You cut this down, I think it goes up in the 90s.
If you just put out those 2 scenes, this would be a 90s movie.
I get the point. I get the points they were trying to make with the Tobey Maguire stuff. Like the symbolism, like I kind of think they're going for like a Dante's Inferno of Hollywood, like going down deeper and deeper through that each level. But like, it's like, we don't need this. It just is unnecessary. It's also a confusing movie where you can't tell if it needs more or, like, I think it would have worked really well as a miniseries. You give this 6 hours and give it time to wrap up each storyline. I think it plays a lot better. Like, what's his name? Adepo, the trumpet player. Who played the trumpet player? That storyline got cast to the side so fast, but it was a very interesting storyline and something I would have liked to see more of. Same thing with Feng Wei, the writer.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting to see more of. But these storylines get set up and then wrapped up so quickly that all you're left with is Margot Robbie and Diego Calva just kind of frantically running around for the last hour.
Yeah.
It's just a frustrating movie. I think that's more than anything, it's very frustrating. And it's...
I gave it a 76. My score reveal is not quite as crazy because you just gave it a 75, so I'll just say that.
I mean, there's stuff that I really love, like really, really love. And that's where...
Kind of the point what Ken Jack said, though, like, the crazy thing about Chazelle getting this much leash, it's not even the money. It's like Ken Jack said, it's the fact that, like, nobody just, like, edited this fucking thing. Like, the fact that they just said, yeah, you're good, bro. Let's just send it out. Like, that's kind of in an era where, like, Taika Waititi is told to cut his fucking Thor movie down. It's like, that's crazy that they was like, yeah, Chazelle, rip it, brother.
That's the thing, too. It's like the two-headed beast of that, giving this movie like an $80 million budget and then saying, don't edit it. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, those two things, to feel like if you're going to give a movie a big budget, the studio, you would imagine, would have more creative control over that edit. But I guess they were just like, hey, man, this dude is making Oscar movies. He's a beast, which he is. He still is, even if this movie isn't good, is like, it's just weird. Just weird. He needed someone there to edit.
How awesome would it have been at that montage? He just threw in like Whiplash and La La Land.
You know, it'd been funny if he pulled in like fucking like, you know, John Carter or whatever, like just like a different, like something out of left field.
I also got retroactively even angry at this movie and making me sound like I hate it, but I went back and watched.
You do. You just want to give it a 75 because you like those scenes.
Well, because I was home with my family, so we turned on Singing in the Rain, and it's like this is the movie. This is the good movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the score. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I'm in between all you guys. I'm at a 65 with this. This movie is the textbook definition of a mess. You look up movie mess in the dictionary, you're going to find Babylon. I'm with all you guys, but there's too many good things about it for me to hate it. Margot Robbie is excellent. You know, I love the way Damien Chazelle shoots his movies. I mean, he's a masterful director. The big problem with this movie, and the runtime obviously is a huge reason for this, is that it's so goddamn unfocused. Because the movie, like the parts in which it focuses on what it should be focusing on, which is this love story, kind of tragic love story that takes place in the transitional time from when silent films turned into talking pictures. That's what the movie should have been. And when it's focusing on that, I liked it. But then you have the subplot with Brad Pitt, and you have the subplot with the trumpet player, and you have a lot of just random scenes that kind of don't connect, don't go anywhere. I'm with you about the ending. I thought it was super self-indulgent, as was so much of this movie. I mean, it's smut. It's really well-made smut. I mean, when the opening scene in your movie is an elephant shitting in somebody's face, you're probably in for a wild ride. And the first 20, 30 minutes, I'm like, he's true to his word here, but it constantly frustrates you because every time you feel like you're about to go, enter that next level and you're going to get really into it, it takes a detour. It's not a terrible movie by any means. I completely understand the divisiveness, though. I think because I've seen this movie on people's bottom 10 lists and I've seen it on people's top 10 lists. Some people think it's fucking perfect. Yeah, but I get that because it swings for the fences so consistently that I understand why people are latching onto it and thinking that it is like one of the better movies of the year, but it is so in your face with its style and with the story that I understand why people loathe it and think it's one of the weaker movies of the year. So I have it at a 65. I think on a technical level, it's great. It's so obvious, much like with his other movies as well. Damien Chazelle is so passionate about this time in Hollywood. And because of that, I just wish it were a better movie because I think that that's one thing that he usually does such a great job of. Like, I think I speak for all of us. I don't know about you guys, but like, I don't give a shit about jazz drumming. And yet when I watch Whiplash, it's the most important thing in the world. He did that with La La Land. He did it with First Man.
He does love fucking jazz too.
He loves shoehorning jazz into his movies more than Kevin Smith loves putting Star Wars references into his movies. I mean, that man loves his jazz. But it adds to his style. And the movie looks good. I will say none of us brought him up. I thought bizarrely because I usually like him a lot as an actor. I thought Brad Pitt was pretty forgettable in this.
Yeah,
I was a bit surprised because usually, we've seen him in movies recently. So, the quality of the films varies, but it seems like we've seen him in movies having a ton of fun. Whether it be like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Bullet Train or something like that. It seems like he was kind of stuck in one gear with this performance. An underwritten character, I felt.
What's weird too is that he is like one of the few actors shortlisted from this movie for a lot of awards. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's right at all.
The only one to me that deserves recognition.
I think Diego and Margot Robbie, I think both deserve it. Diego Calva, I think, was awesome for especially for a debut like that.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, Margot Robbie is such a fearless actress, and she throws herself completely into this role. So yeah, I mean, if this was the Siskel and Ebert scale, it'd be like thumb right in the middle. There's so many admirable things about it that I want to recommend it, but I think the average moviegoer is going to be annoyed as shit by this movie, and I can't really blame them.
Here's the best way I think to describe this movie is that it would be best watched in one of those movie clips YouTube things where they put down part 1, part 2, part 2, part 3, whatever. Like just the 2 parts where they do that scene where Gene Smart talks to Brad Pitt and they do that scene where they keep trying to talk you for the first time. Like those 2 clips on YouTube clips are going to go nuts. Everything else is going to get no views.
I feel like, this is one of those movies that's a great point, Ken Jack, because I feel like if you took any random 5-minute snippet from this movie and watched it, you'd be like, oh, wow, this movie's going to be great. But it's just when it's so much of it is disjointed and disconnected from the rest of the narrative that it's hard to really get engaged. And ultimately, I just didn't care that much about the characters either. I found outside those main 2 were fine, but I found a lot of the rest of it, just in terms of the writing, to be relatively bland. Yeah.
When they go to visit Margot Robbie's mom in a mental hospital, why is that even in the movie? It came up. It didn't come up again.
0 times.
No purpose, really, because you already knew she had a traumatic childhood. So why do we need to show the audience this? There's so much stuff that could be taken out and given more lead time to other stuff. I don't know.
I'm just kind of realizing that Diego Calva was Forrest Gump and Margot Robbie was Jenny. This is the Forrest Gump story of this guy failing upwards, except for the fact that I guess he quit on his own. It's kind of funny.
Also, they ran a Star is Born. They ran that play for Brad Pitt's character, more or less.
Yes.
There's so much stuff in here and Damien Chazelle loves Hollywood and loves movies. So I don't blame him too much for that, because when it's done right, it works. But I just feel like a lot of this shit just was not done correctly.
It's cool that I like it's really neat that like he had such a cynical look. Not even, I don't know if cynical is the right word, but it's not a very positive look compared to La La Land, for example. Now, granted, that's not fully Hollywood; it's like music in Hollywood, and that I guess had some cynicism in it as well, like with him going mainstream and stuff. But for the most part, it was a pretty rosy look at things. In the end, where this like had a lot of negativity, and it did end rosy, but like it's not exactly the fucking it's not Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling dancing on the fucking side of the road. Like it's much more dour,
dirty,
and,
grounded,
and negative. Right, it's dirty. Well, I like that. That's cool. The ambition of being crazy and chaotic is cool. It's just. You're just like, dude, holy shit, rein it in like a hair. Because like if he had reined it in a hair, like there's something there. Like it's unfortunate that this is such a box office bomb because it's not like I mean, we watched some bad movies this year. There's some bad fucking movies, and this doesn't deserve to be in that category.
No,
and even someone like Kendrick, like Kendrick, you rated it in the 50s. Like it's not even in the bottom half.
No.
Of your movies of the year. So it's like, but with all of that said, no one's seeing it. It's obviously a fucking disaster for the studio. Yeah, it's a shame.
What's annoying too is when you make fun of it, people are like Babylon Defenders are like, you don't get it. It was supposed to be frantic and extravagant and all those things. Like, no, I get it.
Yeah,
but it didn't do any of those things with a particular purpose. Like you can have an objective to do these things and still not be a good movie. Like, you know what I mean? That's the even more frustrating thing about the discourse about it.
Yeah, it's not like you don't get that it's frantic. You're like, wait a second, it's intentionally crazy.
It's supposed to be doing this. It's supposed to be showing boobs and butts and coke and fucking diarrhea dumps from elephants. I didn't realize.
I think,
and like that's the thing. Like, I thought I'd be one of the people who thought this is a perfect movie. I was like, I think I'm gonna love it, and I didn't. But it's also one of those where sometimes people fall into that trap, and I'm sure we've all done it at times where you like something and maybe you don't realize it at first, but you're liking because of the idea of it. But like just because it's frantic and chaotic doesn't mean it's good. It's like it's unfortunately possible.
Yeah, just because a movie does a thing on purpose doesn't mean it's good. Which is, I think, what a lot of our complaint was with Terrifier 2, where it's like, yeah, this is what the movie's trying to do. We get that. Still don't like it. Still don't think it's good. It's like, that's where I think the difference comes with some people. And they're like, you don't get it. You're supposed to be like this. It's like, well, then it's still bad. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're trying to do it or not.
Someone made that
big win in 2022.
Yeah,
someone made that argument.
Making Gooch watch that movie.
The Munsters. Someone made that argument for the Munsters. They're like, you don't get it. It's supposed to be bad. They're like, it's supposed to be bad. I'm like, what?
Well, then it did its job too well.
Yeah.
Like it's not even bad.
It's like, well, if it's supposed to be bad, then you're rewarding it by giving it a low score. Like you're giving it what it wants. Then it's so fucking weird.
That's where I stand on like Money Plane too, though. Like I know people are like, Money Plane's nuanced. Like I don't know. I don't know about that. But even Money Plane, I had a better time. The Munsters is fucking. The Munsters stinks.
Rob Zombie. Woof.
What was he thinking? What was he thinking with that movie?
I think that movie made Chris the #1 Rob Zombie hater alive.
I might be. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's all 8 of them.
You're like Rick Grimes.
I actually think that my least favorite movie of the year might, like, not worst, might have been Poker Face with Russell Crowe.
Ooh,
really?
What a call.
Didn't watch it.
It's pretty fucking bad. We have a coworker, Jake. He works on the social team. He's like, hey, I saw 3 movies over break I meant to talk to you about.
That kid has terrible taste in movies.
Bad taste in movies.
He
bad
does.
Taste in a
he
lot
does.
Of things.
He does, but he told me what he watched, and he watched like 2 well-known movies. And he's like, I didn't like this one. I go, oh, I like that one. I like this. He goes, then I watched this movie with Russell Crowe. And I'm like, he's not going to say Poker Face. He goes, Poker Face? I'm like, how did you even land on that? Like, where did you even arrive at Poker Face?
Funny Jake Malisak aside story. He once told the entire office that he could throw one of those Nerf footballs, the ones that make like the whistle. Like, the ones that you can throw really far. He's like, I could throw this an entire city like avenue. And we're like, okay, let's go do it. And he brings it outside. He maybe threw it like 20 yards. It maybe made it 20 yards. This is the type of guy that goes to see Poker Face.
His favorite thing, again, this is a guy that works in our office, Jake Malisak. He went around asking everyone in the office if they wanted to go see the Minions with him for like a month, and then he never saw it. He never fucking went.
Dude, I love Malasek. He's the best.
Like he predated the meme. Like he was even asking before people were going in suits, and he never. I was like, it was 3 weeks went by. I'm like, what'd you think about Minions? He's like, I didn't see it. I was like, what the fuck? Fuck. All right, that's Babylon and Megan. I would look up what's coming out next year, but the internet doesn't work at this fucking internet company that I'm currently at. What comes out next week? What's out next week? Anything?
Plane with Gerard Butler.
Plane has to be the one. I can't. Oh wait, no, there's another one. Well, not a movie, but the Last of Us comes out on the 16th. We should definitely do something with that.
We should be doing. I think
I'm excited about that.
We should probably do weekly discussions on that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
what days
big
is that?
time prestige release or attempted prestige Sunday, right?
It's Sundays. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Plane is literally the only thing coming out next week.
Hell yeah! No, we gotta do that.
Plane is getting a big social push.
Looks awesome.
Yeah,
like it's a lot of ads on social. I've noticed, and yeah, it's something.
I think, dude, you put their account on fucking. You put their account on tweet alerts from the LCB account, so I get their tweets too on my phone, and it'll just be like, POV, you're Gerard Butler, and it's just a picture of Gerard Butler. Like their social team fucking rocks.
Their social team's so funny.
Well, I never know. I never know what. I haven't put a movie on alerts in a while, so it's been. Gooch has done it a few times where I get the notification, and it takes about 20 notifications for me to go, wait, what the fuck? Why am I getting these right now? Like, why am I still... The worst is we do have notifications on for trailers and stuff. The worst is when you'll have, like, a studio you need to have on. Mm-hmm. But then they'll do, like, a live Q&A on Twitter, and your phone just explodes. Yeah. You're like, I just want the Guardians 3 trailer. I don't want, like, Disney Plus live tweeting Good
Disney's
Dinosaur.
The worst
I don't
with
need
that.
this right now.
They're the worst with that.
Netflix is the worst because they'll retweet literally anyone who says anything positive about one of their properties. You could be like, the new season of You is pretty good.
Be like from @eggfart22, and he's like, oh man, new season of Ginny and Georgia really rocks. Retweet 20 different times during the day.
It's like mildly good review, and they'll be like,
this scale. Yeah, it's like a 6 out of 10 review basically version, and they're just like, yeah, that's good enough. Oh man.
2023 movies, top 5 most anticipated, not a draft. I don't know how much overlap we'll have, though now I'm looking at my list. I feel like we might. Yeah. I'll go first, and then we'll go Ken, Jack, Gooch, and Chris. Me, number 5, Creed 3. The Creed 3 trailer was very good. Really excited to see Jonathan Majors. I think everyone agrees Jonathan Majors is on a heater right now, or about to be on one. And then Michael B. Jordan, like, how is he as a director? So Creed 3 for me is an easy. Actually, it wasn't an easy. I didn't expect to have it in there. It beat out a couple things that I think other people would have on their lists. But Creed 3 for me, number 5.
One of the movie insiders I follow on Twitter, he said that Creed 3 got the highest test scores from audiences last year on test screenings. Like he said, like audiences are gonna fucking love this movie.
Damn.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah. Premise is cool. Like I'm excited.
It was just beaten out by my number 5, which is John Wick 4. And the reasoning is, like, you might not think, like, hey, it's an action movie. Why is it most anticipated? Like, John Wick movies are always good. They're 3 for 3, which is so rare in any franchise of any genre whatsoever. And I think John Wick 4 with the cast they attached onto it as well. I'm super pumped up for it. Really, really excited to see what they do and where they go with it, especially because they're eventually have to close out Keanu Reeves' chapter. The dude's like 60. They're gonna have to do something eventually.
Who else is in that one too with them?
They added in Donnie Yen and also like Scott Adkins and a couple other people.
One of the Scars guards.
Yeah, one of the Scars guards. A couple other people too. I forget exactly. Fuck. There was another big name, but I forget.
Also, how about John Wick being confirmed to appear in? I didn't expect it, but he's going to appear in. Yeah, Ballerina. The Ana de Armas. Yep. But my number 5. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Dang.
Finally coming out this year I don't know if it's going to get a theater release. It's an Apple TV project. I'm not sure how they handle their big stuff. But I mean, it's Scorsese, it's De Niro, it's Plemons, and most importantly, it's DiCaprio. Really, really interesting true story. I don't know how it's going to play to a general audience because it's pretty fucking dark. I mean, it deals with taking away land from Native American tribes, and like it's very dark. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm just saying I don't know how much of a general audience excitement there's going to be for it once the first trailer comes out. But yeah, no, it's fine. It was supposed to come out last year, but just didn't. I don't know what really happened there. I guess they didn't feel safe about it being on their slate. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Frage Man, can't wait.
My number 5 is same as Ken Jack's. It's John Wick 4. John Wick, I think if we talk about original characters like of the 21st century, I think John Wick is easily one of the most recognizable in terms of franchise characters. The way that this world has been built has been really fascinating to me. I mean, you start off with a guy that just, had his dog kidnapped and it turned into this whole like underground world of assassins.
Dog.
Yeah, and Keanu Reeves kicks ass in these movies. So, I'm excited for John Wick 4. The way the third one ended, you're kind of, you're definitely ready to see the next chapter.
Those 3 are all on HBO Max, by the way, if you're looking to stream them. All 3 just went to streaming earlier this month.
I love the John Wick lore. Right?
It's
a really good lore.
To me, the lore is better than the movies, if that makes sense. Like, my favorite parts of the movies are just learning about that world.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
My number 4, Spider-Man into the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. Very excited for that. I'm kind of bummed that Nicolas Cage is not back as Spider-Man Noir. That's kind of
he had a really weird comment about it. He was like, they didn't ask him.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's very odd. I guess maybe the character's wrapped in that sense. I don't know, but I'm very excited for that. The I've never been so excited about the tease for animation. Like the way they've talked about the animation for this movie is just like you're like, okay, I got to see what this shit's like. But I mean, the first one's one of the greatest comic book movies ever, one of the best animated movies ever made. Unreal shoes to fill, but I kind of just trust them because they've had such a painstaking process making this, and they didn't rush it out, right? Like it's been a while now, so like there's just a trust level I have with it. Very excited for it. Ken Jack.
My next one is going to be Dune Part 2. Dune Part 1 was obviously awesome in a lot of different ways. I feel like I wanted so much more from that. Like I wanted a more complete feel to it. So I feel like Dune Part 2 is going to make Dune Part 1 better. And I'm really excited to see how that works out. So shout out Denis Villeneuve and the boys. They added someone else in the reshoots. No, didn't they just add someone?
Yes, they added
Willem Dafoe, right?
Willem Dafoe?
Willem
Yeah.
No, wait, it's not.
Was it? I thought it was.
I'm trying to think.
They added a big name in after. And I know they were all wrapped with.
Was it Donald Sutherland? I don't know because I just watched Hunger Games. That might be why I'm saying that.
There's a Hunger Games thing coming out next year too. Yeah. Or this year.
Rachel Zegler.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim Blake Nelson. Tim Blake Nelson.
You're right. Yeah, different great character actor.
I don't even know.
I don't know he's playing. Yeah.
To be honest, like thinking through the characters, I'm not sure who that would be.
Yeah, don't they have everybody covered at this
just
point?
A random cowboy in the middle.
He got recast as Paul. He's just Paul Atreides now.
he's Leto Atreides or Leo Atreides. Yeah. Paul's son. Turns himself into a sandworm.
Gooch.
My number 4 is going to be Barbie.
Let's go.
I know it sounds like a meme pick, but Greta Gerwig's a really fucking good director, and this cast is awesome. The initial teaser, it looks great. I just really got a great feeling about this one. I really do. I think it could be a huge cultural movie too. There's going to be a lot of chatter around this and a lot of talk. I could see more people talking about this movie than Oppenheimer, which comes out the same weekend, just because it has a wider net to talk about. More people are going to be seeing this. It just has a wider audience. You can take family.
I can't believe they got those coming out in the same weekend.
Right.
Dude, also, I rewatched Little Women over break. Dude, that movie's so fucking good. It's so good.
The Bob Odenkirk coming in with the glass breaking fucking Stone Cold is incredible.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, no, Barbie, I'm looking forward to it.
4 for you, Chris.
Creed 3. To be honest, I wasn't that. I love Creed 1. I love the first Creed. I was indifferent towards the second one. I didn't think it was not as good as the trailer made it out to be. I was marginally disappointed. Really like the trailer for the third one, though. And Jonathan Majors, you talk about a guy who's either on a heater or on the verge of being on a heater. He's been everywhere lately. Tons of charisma. I like the idea of him, playing the antagonist here. And Michael B. Jordan's always good, and his directorial debut as well, which should be interesting. So, one of the things that made the first Creed so special was the way it was directed by Ryan Coogler. So hopefully we can recapture some of that magic. That's my number 4.
One of the best parts of Creed 2, if you go back and watch it, though, I will say, like, one of my favorite parts is the end when Tessa Thompson's character is singing her song and he comes out for the fight. Fucking badass scene. Mm-hmm. One of the more badass entrances. Just no.
Her song stunk. Her song stunk. Let's be honest.
The walkout song.
Yeah, I didn't like. I don't like her music. Not my tempo.
You'd want some fucking bluegrass bullshit.
No, a Chazelle boxing movie, that would be entertaining.
Yeah, come out to Justin Hurwitz.
My number 3 is Oppenheimer. My number 1 and 2 are probably the 2 most anticipated movies I've ever had in my life. So that's it's like Oppenheimer is, and like I don't mean that, like I mean that very seriously too. Oppenheimer is going to be. Man, this is a mistake saying this. Oppenheimer is going to be one of the top 5 movies released next year. I have no idea how it's not going to be unreal. I know, Chris, you were pretty indifferent on the trailer. Like, I was so opposite. There was something about it. I'm like, fuck, this is going to be so fucking good. I'm going to be disgustingly let down if this movie is not at least a 95 or above for me.
Wow.
My expectations are so high for Oppenheimer, and in a different way than my next 2 movies. Like this one, I think this could be a Best Picture type winner for him, and I think it. I hope it is. That's my expectations. So, Ken Jack.
My next one is going to be Barbie. For a lot of the reasons Gooch said too, where it's just like. I think this is going to be genuinely a good movie, and I miss seeing Margot Robbie in actually good movies. You know what I mean? And even almost to the same extent, like Ryan Gosling's had like a little bit of a break from like an actually like great, fine performances and everything, but like not really like a really good movie. So super excited for that. It just looks fun, punchy, like an entertaining time at the movies. Like Oppenheimer, I think is going to be a little bit more of like a a little bit maybe of a more melancholy feel to it, a little darker, a little drearier. I think Barbie's going to be the polar opposite, which is going to be a nice, like, I'd say double feature for us on July 21st or 22nd, whatever day that is, that's coming out.
I hope theaters.
It's going to be a movie that you.
I hope theaters do some like sort of promo. That'd be a fun thing for theaters to do, like the double feature promo for Oppenheimer and Barbie.
It's going to be a movie, I guarantee you, that we see, and then like you hear friends talking about going to. You're like. You're gonna see Barbie? It's like I'll go again. Like it's gonna be one of those. Like I cannot like the teaser was perfect. It didn't show too much. It gave you like this whimsical, fun, wacky feel. Like it was the perfect amount of that movie. Because I feel like nowadays teasers are almost like they're just like Marvel teasers are just full trailers basically.
Yeah.
But like that was the perfect classic teaser. You're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Super colorful.
Gooch.
My number 3 is also Oppenheimer. This would be number 1 if it wasn't for Tenet, which I think was much like Babylon, just a heat check, like we talked about for Nolan. But I think he reels it back in here and gets back on track.
Yeah, but he might have scored a couple points on Tenet where Chazelle, or it's like Ken just said, Chazelle swung for the fences and dribbled at the first.
Yeah,
dude, I still don't get Tenet. I've lied so many times. I've lied so many times about
you big dumb moron.
I can't get it. I don't understand it. But Oppenheimer seems a little bit more linear. I think I'll understand it this time. And like the cast is just, it really is insane. He really did say, give me everyone. And the stories about how these people got casted, they said they didn't even fucking read for parts. They just like were asked, do you want to be in a Christopher Nolan movie? And they were just like, yes. Like that's some serious clout. Like just being able to get RDJ on the phone and him being like, yeah, I'll do it. Matt Damon. Who else they got?
The cast list is
just name a person.
Jack Quaid,
Josh Peck,
Josh
Murphy,
Emily
Josh
Blunt,
Peck,
fucking RDJ, all these people, man, it's crazy.
All right, Chris.
My number 3 is a movie. I have no idea if I'm going to enjoy it, but it's on here because I'm just so ready for it to come out. Because we've been talking about it for a decade. The Flash. I have no idea how much I'm going to enjoy The Flash, if at all. But there's so much. I don't know if there's ever been a movie with this much baggage behind it that had this much like we need this to be good energy. I think it's going to be a weird experience, and I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't know if I'll enjoy it or not, but it's something I'm definitely excited to see.
I'm very excited for.
They've backed him so much.
Yeah.
Like it must be a little good.
Dude, people are saying this movie's good. Like people are saying the screeners keep going well. Like people like this movie. Like apparently it's good. Like, which is hilarious.
How much is Keaton in the movie?
I think they may have taken
like he wasn't.
I think they took out a lot of his stuff. I think they took out a lot of the stuff that sets up further movies down the line.
Fuck.
But who knows?
That bums me out.
He might be in it a lot. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I do know they took out a ton of the stuff that like was setting up down the line movies because of course they're just not doing down the line movies for the DC.
Fucking Supergirl's in it. Like it's wild.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Andy Muschietti. Is that how you say his name? Muschietti. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
My number 2.
Hey,
we should do that, by the way. Post that from the main account. Post just look up a picture of the most stereotypical like Guido or like old school Sopranos type character, and just post like a random like fact about Andy Muschietti. Just be like, Andy Muschietti says the Flash is going to be great this year, and just like with a quote card and everything.
You're a fucking rat if you don't like my movie.
No, just make it the most like benign like regular quote a regular director would make, but make it like the most cartoonishly like fucking Tony Baloney Sopranos character. On the quote card.
Andy Muschietti is the guy who sold Speed to Moltisanti to give to Meadow.
Yes, exactly.
My number 2. If we had to pre-rate movies in terms of how much we're excited for them, my 1 and 2 would be 100s out of 100s. I know Gooch got to go, so I'll rip through this. They're 1A. They're just tied. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, Part 1. I mean. It's going to be another list. I won't even say anything. I mean, just watch him jump off that fucking cliff. I don't need anything else. Like,
why is he going to have to do that? What in the secret agent's like mission is going to require him to do that? I need to know.
He's undercover as an Evil Knievel cosplayer.
Yeah, exactly. I need to know, man.
I'll move on because I know it's going to be another list. So, Ken Jack.
My number 2 is Oppenheimer for a lot of the reasons you guys said. Christopher Nolan, one of the true unicorns in the entire world of cinema, in that like he makes movies that they blow up the box office and are critically really well received. Like no one does that really. Like even you look at James Cameron, yeah, he blows up the box office critically. He doesn't always get there. But like Tenet, just Christopher Nolan manages to do that with basically every single movie he makes. So I'm super excited what he's going to do with something that's like number 1 based on a very true gritty kind of fucked up story and all that. And with this just massive cast. So really pumped up for Oppenheimer.
Gooch.
My number 2, same as you, Jeff, and my number 1's probably going to be the same as well. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. I mean, I did a complete rewatch, or not complete because I didn't do 1, 2, 3, but I did 4, 5, 6, the good ones.
Not a complete rewatch because I didn't watch half the franchise.
Oh, whatever. I watched the good ones, and I watched them with my dad, and we did it all one day. And like after every single one, he'd just be like, "Is there another one?" I'm like, hell yeah.
By the way, 1, 2, 3, they might all have problems on their own. Number 3 has one of the best Philip Seymour Hoffman villain roles maybe ever. And then number 1 is good.
2 stinks.
Yeah, 2 is no good.
2 is not
good. The long
good.
hair one's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 2.
Yeah. There's a clear step up in the front, like a vibe change in the franchise once you get to 4, though.
I don't think 4. I would say is worse than. I need to double check my rankings on it, but 1 is definitely better than 4, and 3 I would say maybe is better than 4.
I like 4 quite a bit.
5 and 6 are just different level.
5 and 6 are fucking. And honestly,
dude, but 4's got Paula.
I am so fired.
Paula.
No, and that's Jeremy Renner. That is our boy Jeremy Renner. By the way, it looks like he's improving in the hospital. Shout out to Jeremy Renner.
Yes. Robin Thicke's ex-wife, who he wrote an album for, and she still did.
What sold more, Tickets to Babylon or the Paula Patton CD from Robin? I gotta say, by the way, Kittredge coming back, that character coming back has me. I love that. I'm so fucking amped. So yes,
Haley
so
Atwell
excited
too.
for that movie.
Like,
true.
Feels like she's gonna be a huge part in the movie.
Palm Clement.
The trailer was. That's a really good trailer. Like that's a really fucking good trailer.
The repurposing, that theme song is just so fucking good, and the way they've continued to repurpose it and like stretch out, make it more dramatic. Yeah. Chris.
I'll be quick here. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is my number 2. Marvel needs this, man. Just a good, positive vibes send off to these characters. I really do think all of them are done after this. Like, I don't think they really have any interest in doing any other Marvel stuff, but beyond what James Gunn's done with them. I want to see a conclusion to this arc, to these characters. It's been a wild journey, and I really hope they stick the landing with this one. I really am rooting.
I think Pratt's going to stay, to be honest.
He could, yeah. But I know Batista said he's done, and I kind of think I don't have any, I don't know any spoilers. I kind of think Rocket's going to die. So yeah, I think that we're going to get some sense of finality to this.
I mean, Dave Bautista may as well come out and just say Drax dies in the movie. By the way, like,
you think Drax dies?
Yeah, I think it's like almost cut and dry that Drax is dead. We'll see, and we'll see how. We'll see when every Hollywood actor is lined up for Secret Wars if they really say they want to come back.
Yeah,
or not.
exactly.
We'll see if the tune changes rather quick on that one.
Yeah.
I would agree with you on Rocket though too. My number 1 is Dune Part 2. I can't believe that we're getting Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, and Dune Part 2 in the same year. I've become Dune obsessed. I've read half the book in 2 years. I'm getting there. I'm doing a good job. So, like, I view the first Dune as like a near masterpiece. And the fact we haven't seen anything yet, like, we got to be seeing something soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe with Ant-Man?
Something.
Maybe with Ant-Man.
Or you know what? Fuck it. We're less than a year out. Don't show me anything. Like, I am just so... I mean, I saw the thing 5 times in IMAX. It was an unreal experience. I'm so fucking excited for Dune 2.
I'm obsessed with Dune 2. Doing your mom.
You gotta say. By the way, I was just about to say. You gotta say Dune Part 2. Dune 2 does not work.
Yeah.
You gotta add the part in there.
Exactly. Mine's gonna be Dead Reckoning Part 1 for a ton of reasons. Like Mission Impossible Fallout was like one of the greatest action movies of the last like 10 years easily. Fucking awesome time. I'm Tom Cruise, just dedicated to being the biggest action star, giving everyone the best action performances ever. And yeah, the cliff jump. Need to know why that went down, and I can't wait to seeing him riding on top of trains in Romania or whatever. I can't wait.
Number 1, the Marvels. Just kidding. Let's go. Dune, baby.
Yeah, the Karma Sutra right there. The book on how Dune.
I love Dune. Like Dune, I remember the first time I read the book, I think I read it in like 2 days, and it is a thick-ass book. I could not put it down. The first movie, all the complaints people have about the first movie will go away. I think, Kinjek, you brought it up. The second movie will be in service to make the first one even better. The movie, I cannot wait. I'm with Jeff. I think in terms of big sci-fi, you can't do much better than what the first Dune did. I mean, it is fucking amazing. I can't wait to see Austin Butler come in as Fader Alpha, who's a awesome character. Florence Pugh coming in too, like one of the best actresses working right now. This is Denny doesn't miss. Denny just doesn't miss. Like, so what?
That is true.
Like, this is a lock to be at least great, if not fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, agreed.
It's also the Dune Part 1 has already allied for the OOP for Dune Part 2 to win all the Oscars. I mean, it basically did. Like, it won everything, but it won all the shit that you'd expect it to win at the Oscars. So it's like, yeah, we'll see what happens. What's this Marvel notification we just got? Is that for Ant-Man and the Wasp tonight during the College Football National Championship?
Tune into the College Championship, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
I love when they make all these fucking nerds tune into games.
Yeah, they did it with Star Wars 3 times.
Oh, the Star Wars thing was the Monday Night Football first Force Awakens trailer was that is one of the more memorable experiences I've ever had, like for movie stuff.
Yeah.
Again, I'll be quick. We're coming up short of time here. No surprise to anybody. My number 1 is Oppenheimer. I'll be front of the line for every Christopher Nolan movie. At the same time, wasn't crazy about Tenet. I really hope he kind of goes back to his roots here, making movies that are epic in scope and yet intimate in terms of their character stuff. I think Nolan is at his best when he's really focusing on characters, which he's gotten away from a little bit in his last few movies. Incredible cast. I feel like he's got something to prove with this, and I can't wait to see it.
Chris, you weren't on for this, but the absolute. You're looking at two fucking bozos and me and Gooch who showed up to Avatar going like, hey, we got to get there in time for the Oppenheimer prologue. Nothing. Just not even the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
We got to get in our seats for the...
They didn't even play the trailer before?
No.
All we got was
we saw it in Dolby. Yeah. We like told PFT, we're like, hey, you got to meet us after. We got to go see the Oppenheimer prologue. It's stupid. Fuck. All right. Well, I guess next week we're talking Plane.
Can't wait.
Sometimes redemption.
Plane reminds me
most unusual place.
Plane reminds me that what's his face is in it, Luke Cage,
Coulter.
And all that reminds me of is whatchamacallit wants to be back as Iron Fist.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I'll tell you what,
Finn something.
I have nothing against him, but if you know Marvel lore, you know that the street heroes and villains and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have the most rabid fan bases. They want all of them back in anything. And the second Iron Fist guy said he wants to come back, they're like, nah, you're good. Nah. That's all right. You can stay in. We're good. We're good with you. That's it for Ken, Jack, Gooch, Chris. I'm Jeff D. Lowe. We'll talk to you next time.